Alright everyone, welcome to Mermaid Monster. Excuse the voice. I keep saying that it doesn't matter, but it's driving me crazy. What do you want to say?
We got a cool little get up today.
Yeah, we do. It's an exciting, adventurous visitor. He doesn't like to be called an expert, but he is an expert. He's super knowledgeable. He knows everything, almost robotically, about Nordhavns, and he is going to
be honest, I'm a little nervous because he says things regardless of, he's a little bit more honest.
And he is gonna tell you everything about this boat. He's gonna show you things that we might not want you guys to see. He's gonna, yeah. Anyway.
I respect him for that reason though, is because he is really honest. And one thing that is amazing about James is that James is there when you need him, 100% of the time.
Well, we were gonna surprise everyone, but yes, we have guest visitor James Knight aboard doing a famous walkthrough video. Yeah, let's go see where he is. I think he's about to roll up, I think. I'm Brooke, and this is Braden. We have 4 kids, Rooney, Penn, Leo, and Yanni. Our way of life is different. 7 years at sea, and now a farm in Tennessee. Our home is where our feet land, with heart and home being movable, and time being non-renewable. Around the world we go, as we roam to know. Welcome aboard, Mermaid Monster.
Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
Good.
Long
Doing
time no
well.
see.
Welcome everyone. This is the boat tour of the 2007 Nordhavn 55. It's hull number 5525, and we have James Knight here.
Wild.
But James is you've always kind of had this boat in your work order, in a way, right? However you want to say that.
We have a lot of files on this boat.
Okay.
It's been all around the world. James is very good at doing walkthroughs of boats because he knows these boats inside and out, and so we thought it'd be a great idea to come on and just share your knowledge about boat.
So I know I've been notably distant from YouTube for the last couple of years. I think we did a very short video with Jay on a 63, and a lot of people on our YouTube channel have been asking about 55 walkthroughs.
Yeah.
And I've never done one. Brian Finn has a 55 that he bought from me in Australia, and a long time ago he said, James, when are you going to do a 55 video? I know it's been a long time coming, Brian, but here we are.
This is for you, Brian.
Probably the most famous 55 of them all, I must say.
I don't know about that.
Anyway, here we are. We will do a walkthrough of the boat.
We have a guest visitor in the corner.
I'll tell you what I like, and I'll tell you what I don't like, and you can make your own decision.
Yeah, like I was saying before, he won't tell me.
He's not gonna sugarcoat it.
He won't lie to me. He won't tell me it's good if he doesn't think it's good.
First question this morning was, what is your favorite anyway?
Yeah.
He wouldn't tell me his favorite, but he wouldn't tell me.
He likened it to like picking a favorite child. So like you just
can't do it.
You don't go there, I guess.
He's gonna tell me all the places that I should have cleaned a little bit better.
Yes.
Anything that I should have.
I don't know if I'll do that. Not on camera.
All right.
So there's a lot of boats out there. They're all different, and I have a love for most of them in different ways. One of the reasons that I didn't do a video of the 55 is, quite honestly, it isn't my favorite. I'm partial to them, but it's not a favorite of mine. A lot of people might ask the question, why? Well, looking at the boat, it's very tall, and I'm not a huge fan of that tall wedding cake look, as some people describe it. But the reality is, I've sold more of these 55s than I've sold of any other model, I would say. Jay's here with us today, and he can probably attest to that, right? We got a lot of files in the cupboard. On 55s. We've worked on many of them, and we've sold many of them. So I shouldn't diss my bread and butter, right? I mean, I've sold this boat a couple of times. You didn't buy it from me, but I sold it to the people who bought it from.
In your 63 video,
and previous to that,
when you opened the filing cabinet of all the files you grabbed,
the biggest
it was
drawer,
this one.
The biggest drawer, and the one that popped out was Mermaid Monster. Yeah, actually we grayed out all the details, to be honest.
Well, you know what? It's interesting because growing up with my dad, that was the image I had of Nordhavn was a 55 because that's what he would always show me. And So in my mind, when Braden said, let's move on to a boat, it was just a 55. I mean, we didn't even like entertain.
No, this is
Otherwise.
actually the third 55 that we put an offer on.
Yeah.
And I didn't know much about boats originally, but this was probably, I didn't realize it at the time, but this was probably the best equipped 55 that I put in.
This was a very, very expensive boat to build.
Yeah.
And it has a lot of real nice stuff on it. And I will say that it's had a lot of money pumped into it over the years too. From the people that bought it, Douglas and Linda put a lot of effort into this to improve it in ways.
Yeah.
Anyway, I want to go back to my favorites and my non-favorites.
Yes, please.
And I will just say that we had the discussion this morning, and of course the 62 popped up because we have that in our logo. The 57 popped up because that was the original video that I did, and I am very partial to the 57. So one of the things that I don't like about the 55 is, quite honestly, this is the boat that killed the 57 off. So I don't like that very much.
He's very bitter about this.
It's a personal thing. Yeah.
This is a bitter thing.
I mean, I remember when the order book started filling up in Stuart, you know, with 55 orders, and all of a sudden people stopped buying 57s, and you know that was the beginning of the end of the 57. So let's start here in the cockpit. We'll talk about one of the features that early Nordhavns are really well known for, which is not necessarily a good thing for some people, but it is for others. If you're a real boater and you have you know, thoughts or plans to cross oceans or go distances, you can probably relate to the fact that Nordhavn in the early days, they built ocean crossing boats. And when you have an ocean crossing boat, you really don't want a very big cockpit. Now that might be a complaint on the 55, but the reality is it's a good thing if you're in big following seas. You know, you look at all the early Nordhavns and they have little tiny cockpits because you don't want a big bathtub on the back of the boat. If you get pooped by a big wave, it's all weight, and you need to be able to shed that weight as quickly as possible. So if you have a massive great cockpit, that's not a good thing. So yeah, some people complain about the size of the cockpit on the 55, but you'll appreciate it if you're in big following seas crossing an ocean. Why now do we have all these Nordhavns with bigger cockpits, right? Because that's what people want.
Yeah.
I remember in the early 2000s when we were putting these boats in boat shows, and you know, when you've got a 55 in the boat show with a little cockpit next to a Fleming or one of these, I shouldn't mention names, but these boats with big cockpits, you know, that's what people want. Yeah. So Nordhavn started extending them and putting these big cockpits on, and they do sell.
They look pretty.
And of course they're capable boats as well. But so the advantage of Mermaid Monster, number 25, is that they deleted the staircase. So when you get on a 55 that has the big staircase in the corner over here, it feels a lot smaller.
Yep.
You get on this boat,
Yeah, I'd see that.
and you have no staircase, and the cockpit feels considerably bigger. I'm sure you've been on a bunch of
Dinner show,
a bunch, but can I want to say something about that, because from a mom's point of view, like if you have kids, that for me was like, I was like, I'm sold, because it's a place that kids can fall overboard. If that staircase...
One more thing to worry about.
Yeah, it was like, it's safe. It's really enclosed. And so for me, that was a huge selling point. Just something that someone might not think of with kids, at least from my perspective. Yeah, pets too. And we have never found it to be annoying or a problem to not have
the
it.
staircase. No,
It's never bothered us.
I think it's probably a good thing.
Yeah.
This is a workable cockpit. I mean, I'm sure that you've had plenty of people in this cockpit before, right?
Oh, yeah.
Sitting around the table. You can put some chairs back here.
Yeah.
It's big enough.
One of the nice things is on the swim step is that they put a wave dampener underneath there.
Yeah.
You have many clients
When
do
I was
that.
walking up to the boat just now, I was thinking about mentioning that. That is a huge advantage, and there aren't many, if any, 55s. I can't even think of another 55 that has that. Do you know of any?
I don't know any.
But our buddies we cruised with did not have that, and it was a humongous difference. Just hanging out at anchor in a really anchorage.
In certain wave conditions.
Bam! Yeah, and it was loud.
Yeah, if the wind is blowing you around and your stern is facing the incoming swells, it can be very uncomfortable. You know, when those swells hit the underside of the platform, and it shakes the whole boat. But the difference that it makes when you're at anchor is big.
Yeah.
And I remember Douglas and Linda put that on at great expense.
Yeah. It's a whole superstructure under there.
Yeah. I think they did that at American Custom Yacht up in Stuart. So, why do people love these 55s? I gotta tell you, when you walk into a 57, especially a narrow body, which I love, they're small. And when you walk into this 55, it's like, whoa, this is really nice. I mean, it's spacious. It's got high overhead, it's beamy, it's got granite, it's shiny, it's glitzy, it's wow. You know, I call it the wow boat. A lot of people call it the wow boat because it shines.
I felt the same thing.
It fits. It's like home, right? I mean, it's comfortable. You can see yourself living in there.
The one thing that I was amazed at is how much it runs like a house and not with the compromises of a boat. So it's freezing cold in here right now. It's not
like
cold outside. It's not cold outside. The water heater runs forever. It's got blazing hot water. It runs all the comforts that I have at home, I have here, and that wasn't what I was expecting. Originally, I wasn't expecting that.
Well, this boat actually has a chilled water system. It's unusual on a 55. There aren't that many of them that have chilled water systems, so they're very efficient. They, you know, yes, it feels like a meat locker.
It is so.
Which is nice when it's super wet and muggy in the Bahamas. You come inside and you're like, let's put on a sweatshirt and watch a movie. It's a good juxtaposition.
Yep, I asked them to turn the AC off. It was so cold.
So the amazing thing is, you know, this boat, when I walked up to the boat a few minutes ago with Jay, it's hard to believe. This boat sat on the HUD and, you know, it came off the HUD, came down here. We got North Palm Beach Detailing to come in and polish the boat up. I mean, it looks sharp, right?
Yeah, I know.
It's shiny.
I want to take it to the Bahamas right now, and we've thought about it. And,
Don't tempt us.
And then you walk in, and you know, you've just got new carpets, new cushions. I mean, the boat looks really good. The woodwork is rich and clean. You know, you hear me talk about some of the older 55s that have patchy woodwork. You can see a little bit of patchiness on the woodwork here, but really the grain is still there. The wood is rich. The color is dark. I mean, you know, it's stripped out right now. You don't have a whole lot of staging stuff. The headliners are in really nice shape. How did that happen?
I don't know. Some guy did a great job on the headliners.
Wait. This room.
You did a lot of it, didn't you?
This room.
You got the kings taught you how to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was fun, actually.
I think they're nice.
The boat's been used. I mean, 4 owners, right? You're the 4th owner.
Yeah.
And you've used the heck out of the boat.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, she shines. It's great. So we're going to walk through the boat.
Yep.
And we're going to look at, I mean, obviously everyone's interested in the layout, but a lot of people are interested in the mechanicals.
Yeah.
And one of the big things, there are quite a few differences with this boat, one of the big things that makes this different to the other 55s is it's a twin. And, you know, it's unfortunate that the 55, you don't get everything. You can't tick all the boxes. So when you have a big voluminous boat like this that feels like a house, you're not going to get the performance that you get with, say, a 57, right? It's a much more comfortable liveaboard boat. You want to have your family on board. You want to stay in marinas. You want to stay at anchor. It's comfortable, but it's not as fast as a 57. It also doesn't steer as well as a 57. And I hate to bring the steering into it because I know a lot of people have bought 55s from us, and most people, or I'd say all people, are happy with their 55s. But the single engine 55 is not the best handling or steering boat in the world. Now, they built, what did we decide?
I think 6.
6
that you could count.
Of these twin engine 55s. They should have built more. I think, you know, the 55 was a candidate for twins right from the beginning. I remember when I first went out on a 55, and you have to pay attention. I mean, a lot of people don't steer the boats; they have them on autopilot. I mean, you probably do too, right? Most of the time. What percentage?
When we're docking.
What percentage of the time are you hand steering this boat versus being on autopilot?
Very little.
You were 99% autopilot.
Yeah.
And so people don't realize how hard it is to steer these boats because the autopilot's doing the work most of the time. The reality is, you don't realize. Have you ever driven a single?
We remember Malcolm Solway Coast. They were a single, and we would go alongside of them all the time.
Yeah.
And there was a big difference.
You have to pay attention.
There was a big difference.
You can do it.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you, when I get
like
on board with the new owner of a 55 single, you know, it's, I don't want to say shocking, but you know, they start to steer and they realize that, oh, you've got to pay attention here.
Yep.
You take your hands off the wheel, it's not going to stay in a straight line unless you hit auto. it'll start to wander a little bit, especially if you've got the stabilizers on.
Yeah.
Now the twin engine 55 will stay in a straight line. You take your hand off the wheel and it'll go in a straight line. It tracks beautifully.
And we did experience that alongside single engine 55s.
So you've had that experience.
Yeah.
I remember selling a twin to Ed Peller, who's probably watching this, and he immediately after he bought it, I put him on a single for a delivery because he was questioning whether he did the right thing, right? He was wanting a single.
Yes.
And, he's very happy with his twin. I won't go into all the details, but he's very happy with
We
his
wanted a single.
Yeah.
We wanted a single because I thought that the fuel efficiency was the most important. But I quickly realized that it wasn't. And to have the redundancy of the two engines and the stabilization and the tracking, I'd want a twin over a single today. It just made me feel a little safer.
Right.
And
I think that people that have singles, quite honestly, probably would favor the single just because that's what they get used to.
they both work.
I will tell you that, I've had a single and a twin next to each other in the marina, and I've had a guy who, I said, you got to try both boats. You got to go out for a ride on both, thinking that he would pick the twin. And he still went after the single.
Yeah.
Because he had his mind set on single engine, long distance, fuel efficient, passage making. And Nordhavn have built their reputation on those boats, right? Those single engine, passage makers. But I love the twin. So, they're smaller engines also. They did it on the 57, on a few of those 57s, and they put these massive engines in there. I don't really want to get into a tangent on that, but on the 55, they put small engines in, right? So they decreased the horsepower of the engine. They put two little engines in, which it's the same engine as they used on the 47. Actually, there's a couple of 43s that have that same engine. It's the 668T. It's a good engine. It's like 173 horsepower, right? Aside. Mm-hmm. Drives the boat along nicely. Yes, it burns about 10% more fuel, but I think and it carries more fuel. Because it's less fuel efficient.
Yeah.
So
we have an extra tank.
Yeah. Anyway,
I'm not one to question a doctor, but aren't these 1066s?
what did I say?
668.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, you're right. Cut.
So we hold about 2,300 gallons, and that range will get you a good 3,000 miles.
Slow it down. You can get more. You could probably get 4,000 miles out of the boat.
Yeah. If you want to go slow, but no one wants to go that slow.
What do you find? What speed do you find that you usually cruise at?
That's interesting. At the beginning of our cruising, I was all about fuel efficiency, and at the end of our cruising, towards the most recent of our cruising, I would run it. I would go faster. We'd go 7.5, try to get closer to 8.
Because the kids are getting restless?
Yeah.
I don't even think that's the case. I think the boat runs better like that. I think it runs better hot. If I don't have to make it across an ocean or something like that, I can fuel up, and that's fine. We're just more comfortable running.
The faster you go, the more efficient the stabilizers are. So, so that's another thing that I was going to talk about on stabilization. We talked about it in the cockpit out there a minute ago. The boat is tall. It has a lot of space. It has big overhead. It's got room in the engine room, So it's a tall boat. It's stabilized, and those stabilizers work. And stabilizers, you've got these fins underneath the boat doing this all the time. It affects the steering, which is why I feel like the stabilizers, when you first turn them on, they probably come on at 20 knots, right? They're set to come on at 20 knots, and you have to program them to come down.
Okay.
Is that correct? On this boat?
Set to go at 20 knots.
So the speed setting is default at 20 knots. And
He's like, we
do
just
you ever
press
go into
on.
the speed setting on the stabilizers?
That's Tony's job. That's Tony's job.
No.
Every time we turn it
I
on.
can't believe that you don't know that.
We literally just press.
No, I just press on and it goes.
And you leave them alone.
Yeah, and if there's a problem, I call
So
Tony.
it may have been pre-programmed to a 10 knot.
Now we're going to check it.
Yes, we are.
I better put it on 20. Anyway,
Braden's like, what
most
are
of these
you?
boats, if not all of these boats, come on at 20 knots.
Pause for a quick lesson by Jay.
Alright, so I'm going to check what the settings are for the speed on the stabilizers. I'm going to turn the breaker on. I already have the engine running. And it's booting up right now. In the first screen it's going to ask you whether to enable all fins, port or starboard. And so I'm going, or none, or done. So I'm going to hit all. So now you can see that the fins are going to wiggle a little bit. And hopefully you can read this, but it says manual speed set at 12. What James was referring to is that a lot of times the manual setting, or the default setting rather, is at 20. And in order to change that, what you do is you go to the menu, you go to the speed, and then you'll see that the manual speed is set at 12. And I can increase it or decrease it. It's down to 9, it's up to 12, and it's not going above 12. I have a feeling Tony has gone into the settings to make it where the maximum this boat can go to is 12 knots. So go back to home, and if we were underway, we would hit the active button, and we'd be happy. That's it.
The reason is because if you turn the stabilizers on and you're in a waterway, right?
Yeah.
A narrow channel, the last thing you want to do is for the boat to roll and the stabilizers to do this, because it will affect the steering.
Yeah,
Which is why they come on at 20. And then it's up to you. If you want the stabilizers to work harder, probably should have told you this when you first bought it.
We didn't buy it from you. We didn't buy it from you. That's really the
I
problem.
won't ask who you're right.
This is Brayden's introduction to the boat.
Yes, thank you. So tell me
you-
about this.
So you go into the speed setting and you turn the speed down. It's like turning the gain up, so the stabilizers work harder. So when you're out there and the kids aren't feeling well, you can make them feel better just by turning the speed down.
Rooney is gonna love that.
They're going to keep the boat.
More seasick medicine. That's all we would do. Now I know there's a better
Are you
fix.
investing in pharmaceutical
I
companies?
guess you know what? Though? It's amazing how many people don't know that.
Yeah.
Right.
I did it yesterday when we went out the inlet on the 43, and the owners, I mean, early days for that. So, what'd you do?
Yeah.
So I was explaining it. But yeah, I mean, I know people that have had their boats for years
Well, do you
and had
remember
no
when-
idea.
Like us.
I thought it was funny. Do you remember when James is known to, he moves around a lot. And we just ran into him in Southport. And he just happened to be in Southport at the same time we were. And you jumped on the boat. And you found like these hydraulic issues that I was having that I didn't even know existed. And my hydraulics worked like twice as, twice the performance within like a 5-minute fix that you did. I just didn't know what was wrong.
Well, so the advantage I have is I'm comparing boats to boats, right? So I see all this stuff every day.
Yeah, it was working good enough for me. I was totally happy with it, but I was very happy with it once you fixed it. Yeah.
And,
I can't tell you how many times though that I've given you guys a call at really non-opportune.
Okay, so another huge advantage of the 55, and one of the reasons that the 55 killed off the 57, is this, right? When you get on some of those older boats, you've got to go up to the pilot house and down the stairs to get to the forward cabins, and the heads, particularly the heads. When you get people that come on these boats and realize all of a sudden you've got 2 steps here. You've got one floor layout. What am I trying to say?
Got you. One floor layout.
It's all on one level, basically. Once you get through those 2 steps, you're into the master. You've got a head. You've got a beautiful head, shower. This boat has the bathtub. Some people don't like the bathtub because
It's sold me for
you
kids.
yeah. So some people love it, but the reality is, I think majority of people, as they get older, they don't want to have to step over this threshold.
That's fair.
Now we have taken that out on the boat. On one of the twins, Dennis Fox owned it, and that was actually taken out so you could walk in.
That seems fairly, like, you could convert that.
But I think for most people, I like the tub.
Yeah.
Now you come in here to this master, and it's big, it's comfortable. I mean, I'm sure. How many kids can you fit in this bed?
A lot. All of them. And they've all been in the bed.
Yeah. I mean, the later boats did have bigger hull ports. You know, there's arguments for and against. Some people don't want big hull ports, big pieces of glass in the side of the boat. So I personally prefer these small ports. You don't have to worry too much about bringing the deadlights down when you're at sea because they're quite small. I think I'd be a little bit more concerned if I was crossing the Atlantic or something with those big square ports. You know, yes, they let more light in, but I don't think that's a big deal. This bed looks beautiful.
Thank you.
Last time I came in here, it was all bare and the floors were flat bare too.
Yep.
The carpets look great.
Thank you.
It looks great. And again, the woodwork, the grain is rich, clean. It's lovely. Lots of storage, hanging lockers. Boat smells good. Yeah, it's great.
Sweet.
again, on one level, so I can't stress enough the fact that you can walk through when you're living on a boat and you don't want to have to go up and over to get to the heads. You can walk through from the galley and the head is like 6 steps away without climbing any stairs. And then, okay, so 55s have differing layouts up forward. This is probably the most common layout, with the queen off to port here and a little office area off to starboard. Very appealing for a couple that perhaps has still got work going on. Somebody wants to sit at a desk quietly. I'm sure that you use this desk, do you, when you're doing...
I did. The kids homeschooled there.
Yeah.
Too.
Very functional. And close the door and you're completely, you're well away from the salon. So if there's activities and noises happening back in the salon or the galley, you're a long way from that. You're not going to hear it. And if you've got guests on the boat, they've got their own little area there, right? So
yes.
Another decent sized shower, obviously not as big as the Master, but it's a decent sized shower. Granite everywhere. I mean, it's high end stuff. The tile looks beautiful. The floor tile looks great. I mean,
the light,
it doesn't look much different.
It lights
to the
up
way
really well too, actually.
It probably doesn't look much different to the way it looked when it was brand new. Yes, and I love these side mirrors.
they're great. Girls love them.
Yeah, the mirrors are in super nice shape. I was just on a boat yesterday that's not that much older than this one, and the mirrors, all the edging was starting to go, and I'm going to pull those. Yeah, I mean the faucets are nice and clean and shiny and not corroded. The toilets look good. Everything looked great. So it's a bit tight for us to go down into the basement. The basement's under the carpet down here. Well known that the Nordhavn 55 and the 60 and the 63 have this big basement here in front of the tankage. You can get down there and get to the water maker. Most of these boats have a water maker up forward. You can get to the water pump system. You can get to the bow thruster and all the hydraulics. There's an anchor. I was just down there to have a quick look, and it reminded me, you know, this is a full hydraulic boat, right? A few of these 55s have electric thrusters. This has full hydraulic thrusters. It has a hydraulic anchor wash, so you can get to all of that stuff up there. There's lots of room for storage. You do want to try and store your lightweight stuff up forward on these boats, because one of the downsides of having the forward tank on the 55 is when you fill the boat up with fuel, it tends to be a little bit nose heavy. You've probably found
yes,
that, right?
We have.
So it sort of...
We try to get rid of that first.
Noses down, so yeah, get rid of that fuel first. And another thing, if you're storing a lot of heavy stuff up forward, that's a problem. So you want to try and keep your toilet paper up forward and your paper towel.
Yeah, there you go.
But there's lots of room for that, and filters and stuff. But yeah, it's a great spot down there. Can't point out enough on these doors and stuff. I'm going to close you in, Braden. But look at the thickness of these solid doors on these boats.
The clunk.
I love that thunk,
I know.
right?
It's like a good heavy car too.
Yeah, like a Porsche.
Yes.
So another feature on this boat is it has forward and aft shore power hookup. So this is the incoming breakers up here for the forward shore power, and then we'll show you later on down in the back you've got the aft hookup as well. So depending on whether you're coming bow into the slip or stern into the slip, they got you covered.
Yep.
When we have tall people that come to us and say, hey, I'm 6'4", what boat should I buy? What comes to mind? Well, the 63, of course, probably has more headroom than any other boat. But the 55 is probably not far behind it. The 55 has a lot of headroom. I'm 5'11", 5'11". What are you?
5'10".
Yeah, about the same. Lots of room. Yeah. Especially here. I mean,
I'm always saying, well, I'm short, so
You
I
don't
notice
need
it. But
who sits in this?
me,
I'd have to get a step to climb up into it. So
I have to be like this if I'm driving into the dock or something.
I have
to have it like this.
I had a couple, Carl and Nora, I don't know if you've met them, but they had a 63, and they had a 55 beforehand. They had 55, 36, and that was one of her complaints, was she's small.
Yeah, it's like,
And she
why?
couldn't see over.
Yeah, it's crazy. And also, I think someone told me that this was unique to the double step up. They raised it up because they raised this whole bench up so you could see out easier.
Maybe.
That's what I think the previous owner told me. He said it's raised up a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't know.
They're not sure about that.
Oh,
No, there's lots of differences, like
This?
little things like that, you know.
this is where we
cubbies-
keep all our, like,
cubbies and shelves.
captain's log and stuff like that. Yeah.
This is a good spot though, you know, you can sit back here, I'm sure I'm sure if it's rough out and you want a secure place to sit and
Right
look
here.
out. Yeah,
This is
this is my
Rooney.
favorite spot.
If you get seasick, this
is the spot.
Yeah, she sits and
It's a
just
shame
looks
there's only
out.
one of them, right? Do
I
they fight
know.
over it?
Yeah. They do. Actually, nah, Penn is, he goes into that room and just watches his iPad. That's his little, like, cave.
There's a TV in there, watch videos.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm curious to know what you've done here because this has the old bulletproof Furuno screens. You know, these things they are getting a little dated, but man, they were expensive screens when they were first put in. They were like $5,000 a piece. And they weathered well. I mean, they're good screens. But you've now got this one over here. Did you put that in?
So last year we put in a new screen over here, and we put in a new boat computer that runs that screen, and then that boat
Is it a
computer
touch screen
will
or
load up.
not?
It is a touch screen.
Okay, so one of the things that I really like, and you may appreciate the fact that this dimmer right here, you know when you go into these old screens and you want to dim them down when you're coming into a harbour at night, you've got to press a bunch of buttons, you've got to try and get Here you can just reach over and click, and also you can turn it on and off with one press. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. So
Simple things.
Yeah, I think that it fits really well. This size screen fits exactly into these molds, and that was kind of, to be honest, the next on the list is to
What to do
replace
the other
both of
two?
those. Yeah, the screen looks so great. So
Yeah, it does look good. And as far as the other stuff, it looks like most of it is the way it was probably when you bought the boat.
Yeah, it's pretty much the same. You know, we have an AP70.
Did you add that, or was that the?
That was owned by the owner right before us.
Okay.
Put that one in there.
Yeah.
And then there's an AP50. The AP50 runs the follow-up lever right here.
I got to tell you, I love these follow-ups. I don't know if do you have follow-ups on this one? No. probably
There's not a follow-up on that one.
No. So, but these old Simrad follow-ups feel so much more solid than the new ones.
Yeah.
I mean, I know they've discontinued them and you can't get them, and when they fail, it's a problem. But I just love the feel of these things. They've got a really nice detent. They feel solid. The new ones feel all sort of loosey-goosey, and it just doesn't.
Really?
Yeah, it feels like a Tesla.
Well, it's a lot. It's a lot easier running that than it is cranking that wheel 100 times. So.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah, once you get used to them, it's easy to oversteer with them. But once you get used to them, they're great. Coming in an inlet with a following sea or something. So the AP70 was an addition. The AP50 actually it's a great commercial autopilot.
Separate autopilot pumps for both of those units.
Right. Separate processors, separate pumps. The only thing, you know, that both of them use the same RAMs. So 2 VHFs. So you can sit with one on 16, one on 9, one on 13. That's always nice to have 2 VHFs here.
Yeah.
You've got a great array of stuff on top. It looks like you've got a new GPS there, a GP39.
I put a new one in last year.
Is that compass still okay? FA150, so that's a Class A AIS. A more powerful AIS, that's a commercial AIS as well.
We get the blue icon, not the green one.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and it looks like you've got some. Do you have solar? Is that a solar?
Yeah, there's maybe four. I think I would guess they're like 100-watt panels up there.
They were up there.
So it keeps things topped off. Not enough to supply. You know, you still need the generator, but it definitely keeps enough to.
They can't keep up with the kids.
Can't keep up with that.
And of course, twin engine controls. You've got these. I think these, if I remember correctly, these are color Murphy gauges, Murphy power views. You've got.
They are, and the nice thing is that it'll give you a little bit more when there is an air. It'll give you a little more information on the air.
More data.
Yeah.
And then it looks like you got a couple of battery chargers over there as well as.
Yeah, the boat actually has 2 battery chargers and an inverter, which also can act as a battery charger. And I think that the old owner had a problem with one of the battery chargers, and so he got one fixed and then bought a new one and refurbished the old one and just installed them both side by side. And in case that there was ever a problem again, he didn't have to go get it fixed. He could just flop it over.
Yeah. So what do you have for an inverter? I'm looking for your inverter remote.
This is what I think it reads on.
So master volt
Here's
inverter.
the inverter charger
Master volt
controller
inverter.
right here.
Right. Gotcha.
And here's the
And then do you use this for monitoring your battery levels? Do you?
We do, yeah. We always monitor those battery levels for the SART batteries, the Halcyon, the Gen.
240 volt panel. This is all your 110 stuff. So this is all inverted up here. Inverter input's probably down on here somewhere. inverter system, and then your air conditioning over on the right hand side. And like I said when we were in the salon, the air conditioning on this boat is a chilled water system. And for those of you that don't know what that is, basically the chillers and all of the chilling or heating happens down in the lazarette, right? Do you have 2 chillers?
There's 2 chillers, yeah.
And so that basically cools a water loop, and the water loop runs around the boat, runs through all the different air handlers in the different cabins, and then you pull that cold out of the water in the cabin. So that means that the Freon is not running around the boat. All of that Freon is contained back in the chiller, and it's a very small loop.
So this, believe it or not, is just one of the chillers operating. So it's designed to run 2 together, but you can run 1 by themselves, and then it stays this cold on half of its power. So.
Yeah. And then if you do come into the boat and you want to cool it down really quickly on a very hot day, you could...
Normally you'd run with both, but yeah, it's just set like that right now.
Cool. Should we head to the engine room?
Let's do it.
So, before we head downstairs, just want to mention this head. So a lot of people that buy these boats want a pilot house head. Now, there's quite a lot of models that don't have them, but the 55, of course, does. All the 55s have this pilot house head, and I'm sure it's used a lot. Right?
You know what that's really good for is that when you're pulling into the dock, and for some reason you always have to go to the bathroom before you dock, and you hit the head really quick.
And
so that's we're coming to the dock. Someone grab the wheel really quick. That's what it is.
And if you've got guests on board for the evening, and you've got the cabins are being used, and you don't want people using your head down there, this sort of doubles as a day head, right? To send people.
Yeah, this is where you send guests to and things, which is nice.
But super nice to have that, so you don't have to leave you leave the helm, but you're not very far away from the helm if you're on watch at night. And of course, the infamous cabin back here for the captain. It's not a huge cabin, but it is an extra cabin on the boat, so it makes it a 3-cabin boat. You can go in there and take a look.
Show that right quick.
There isn't a shower in the area. If somebody's staying on board for a long period of time, they're still using the shower downstairs, but at least you've got this extra cabin. And for a couple, it means that the off-watch person, if they want to sleep in a real bed, they're right back there. They're real close. And if you need them to come out and give you a hand, get the binoculars out, do some chart work or something, they're close by.
I've slept up here a number of times, and the reason being is because the person at watch is maybe they haven't done night watches or things like that, and so I'm up here in case they need anything. They can easily wake me up without taking their eyes off of watch.
Yes,
so
yeah.
It's nice.
Quick and easy. Before we visit the engine room, we just talked about this chest freezer. It's on.
Well, there's still some stuff in there.
It's got food in it.
Yeah.
Popsicles and cheese.
So the chest freezer is great. Oftentimes people ask me what happens when it goes wrong because it doesn't look like it fits out of here. We know it does not fit up the stairs, but we do know that it can go out through the engine room and up through the hatch.
Yeah.
So
and that's the nice thing about having the twin engines is it fits.
Right,
you don't have to take anything apart on the engine.
Yeah, right. When you have a single, you've got to take all the exhaust and the air filter and all of that apart so you can get the freezer out if it happens. Looks like the washer and dryer have been replaced at some point.
They've been replaced a few years ago. We put new ones in.
I vaguely remember that. Yeah. So nice to have this laundry area, folding area, or workbench for whatever you're doing when you've got a project going on. And then access to the stabilizer port side through this locker, storage under there as well. You've got a fuel tank under here, and then behind you, up under these steps, you can take these steps out, and you've got access to the starboard stabilizer under here. Right?
Yeah, and there's a fuel manifold under here too, actually.
Oh, of course, because you've got the twin. Yeah, so we don't have any lights in there, but you can get to the back of the supply tank down in there and change the fuel valves, switch tanks, what have you. Okay, I'm going to go in here. And I got to say, for the amount of time that you've had this boat and the amount of miles you've put on it, this engine room is looking fantastic.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. It looks good. Looks like you've spent a fair amount of time in here keeping things ship shape.
You know what? There's something about that. If you have too many kids, it gets a little bit harder, but just to come down after you run on your way and just wiping everything down. I don't know, there's something religious about it that kind of feels nice. It was kind of a zen, kind of a zen sauna moment is what it was, but it was nice.
I've had those moments.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I enjoy, when I was doing the trip down with Janice on the 57 last summer, down from Alaska, at the end of the day I would pour myself a drink, come down to the engine room and just with some paper towels and some degreaser and just go around in the corners and check the oils. Yeah,
it lets you see if something's wrong. You know, it's you see it quicker than anything else. So that's good too.
Absolutely. So just to clarify, you may have cut this out, but yeah, I said 668Ts, same block. These are actually 1066's electronic engines, similar horsepower. These, of course, with a twin engine, they're wet exhaust. So you've got raw water pumps and heat exchangers to take care of. The exhausts are going out the back, out the sides. As opposed to the single engines, which are, I'm pretty sure all the single engines are dry stacked.
Yeah, it makes it a little quieter, that's for sure.
Yeah. We talked briefly up forward, this is a full hydraulic boat, so you've got hydraulic pumps on the back ends of these engines. 2 hydraulic pumps, you've got heat exchangers for cooling the oil. This is your stabilizer, not only your stabilizer hydraulic tank, but it also is the reservoir for the main hydraulic system for anchor wash. Windlass is hydraulic on this boat as well, right?
It is, yes.
And bound stern thruster.
Yeah, with 2 pumps in here, 2 cooling pumps. So that has come in handy in case one is not performing optimally. You can just swap it over.
Have you ever had to switch?
I have. Yeah, I have.
Do you have a problem with one?
Yeah, I forgot what the problem was, but it didn't.
And it's a good idea to switch once in a while anyway. Just keep things.
Yeah, we swap them every run. We'll swap them over to keep that, just to keep everything moving.
Right. So one of the things I remember of this boat is you've actually got your Murphy power views down here as well. So you can be down here doing your engine room checks, and you can flip through the readings on the Murphy power view over here. You also have analog gauges and starts and stops. I mean, this boat was equipped with pretty much everything when it comes down to engine monitoring. Pilot house, like I said, it's got the Murphy power view color as well as the standard, and then it has them down here as well. So that's really nice when you're doing your maintenance down here and you can start and stop the engines. Ooh, 20 kW generator or 16? I can't remember.
It's a 20.
20. Yeah.
So it'll do everything without worrying about much.
And a Torrid water heater.
And that's a couple years old.
I was just going to say, it doesn't look original.
Yeah. Yeah, all that, those washer and dryers and that, those are, they're tricks getting them in. Right. Once they're in, they're in.
And here's something you don't see very often. There are a few smaller Nordhavns with them, but not very many. This is an Alpha Lavelle. This is a fuel centrifuge. That's something that you see on commercial ships, big ships, fuel centrifuges. This is obviously a mini one that they have put on some Nordhavns. Unusual to see them on a Nordhavn 55. Have you ever used it?
I haven't. And you know what though, I should have in the Caribbean. Those fill filters got dirty way faster than the American fuel.
This certainly would have helped you.
Yeah.
Pretty cool to have that. We pulled out this pump. The pump was corroded, I think. It's probably in our shop. But sometimes I think that these pumps are silly to have on these boats. You know, if you're down to pumping the bilges with this, you probably should think about getting off.
Yeah.
So my idea is to actually use the plumbing for this pump and probably put in a different kind of electric pump, because that would be more useful than having a pump where you've got to stand up top and do this when you really should be trying to figure out where the water might be coming from. Mm-hmm. So anyway, that pump's gone, bracket's probably going to go, and I think probably room for a different kind of electric pump. Dive compressor back in here, do you ever use that?
We couldn't because someone had to watch the kids and we didn't want to dive alone, so
no
yeah.
More kids.
Yeah.
Alright, and access around the back side of the generator here is quite good. We've got start batteries either side for the 2 engines. We've got intake fans there to keep the engine room cool. And here we are back in the lazarette, which actually, is quite clean and clear. You must have pulled all your stuff out of here.
We pulled there. The boat has a pretty extensive set of spares, which is nice to have. But you want to be able to see what's going on.
Are they out?
You have them.
Oh, they're in our shop?
Yeah.
Probably on our one of our pallet racks. Okay, so those are available. And so you've got your chilled water system I can hear running in the back there. We've got battery chargers. We've got Skylar charger right there. So we've got 2 different chargers, a Skylar and a Centaur charger. We've got our chillers back in the port corner over there. Good access to the steering gear. Steering rams. Rudder stocks. Air conditioning pump in the middle there. Directional valve for the stern thruster. You can see the stern thruster tube across the back there. Actually, the access to all of that stuff, as long as you're not super big, is pretty good. I can crawl over here. Actually, it's better than the last twin engine that I was on. I had a hard time getting to everything, but I could get to everything across here. I can get to the autopilot pump. That's the circulating pump for the air conditioning system. Discharge for the deck drains. In the middle here, behind the stern thruster, that's the davit reservoir. That's the hydraulic reservoir for the crane.
Yeah.
With its electric motor attached to it.
And that's like a year old right there. I put a
I was
new
going
one
to
in.
say, that looks brand new.
Yeah.
Yeah. Steering manifolds across the back there, which you can get to pretty easy. Is that a crash pump? Is there a crash pump?
There's a crash pump, yeah.
So damage control pump under the shelf back in there, I think.
Yep.
And I seem to remember, yes, I think I added this years and years ago, this primer for the crash pump. Because they do tend to, when they sit for a while, they drain back into the bilge, and it's nice to put water in them before you run them. So that's what this is for. I don't know if you've ever used it.
Yeah, I have not had to use that. Right. So.
And then we've got an AC system up in here, right? So this is a frequency converter that if you plug in, if you go down to Martinique or Guadeloupe or someplace like that where you've got 50 cycle power in the Caribbean, you plug in and it takes that 50 cycle and it converts it to 60, so you can run everything off of your American frequencies. Start batteries, house batteries are under the shelves. You've got racks for your dive tanks. If you don't have kids, you might have a chance to go diving.
Yeah.
And then back in here, I can flip that door, so this catches for everything, these doors, so they don't flop around. We got our battery switches, so you can turn on and off the house batteries, the davit, the start batteries. We've got parallels, so if you do have a problem with your engine starting, you can parallel them with the house just with a flip of a switch here. And then typical layout on the bus bars for the DC positive, negative. This is your net amp shunt in here, so that you can read whether you're charging or discharging the batteries and how much. All of your fuses for your inverters, your house, your alternator outputs, the davit fuse, the chargers. Yeah, very neatly laid out. You probably don't have to go in there very often, right?
No. I would just say, one thing that is unique about James is, I think we were in, maybe you don't remember because you get these calls all the time, but we were in some power situation when we had really low power voltage, yeah, and James walked us through like he had the schematics in his head. He's probably at dinner somewhere, and he walked us through how to run the shore converter here to be able to boost it so that we could run the AC without flipping any breakers, and that kept us cool that night. But I was amazed at how well you knew. How did you know? You knew which levers to push to bypass the traditional system and to use that. I had never known how to do that.
I may have had you send me some pictures. My first response to those questions is send me a picture of the breaker panel, and then it'll refresh my memory.
You told me where it was though. You said you need to go behind the breaker panel and take a picture to the right over there, and then go down and take a picture of this. I don't know how you remember that stuff.
I've worked on a few of them. So you start to remember.
Yeah, it's interesting.
One of the things that I wanted to point out, you maybe can turn the camera around and look at that grey box right there. That is what's called a balancing transformer, and this is sort of the new generation of boats. You know, the 57s, actually even the early 47s didn't have them. The 62s didn't have them. But when you have a boat that has one inverter, that's a 110 volt inverter, and it's running off of a 240 volt boat. So you've got two live legs coming into this boat. And early on, before the 55 came into play, they would bring the power in for the inverter on one leg, which meant that everything was imbalanced. So that actually takes the two live legs that come into that transformer, and it comes out at 110 volts to feed the inverter that feeds the panel, because this is it has a massive 110 volt panel up there. So it keeps everything balanced, so you're maximizing the use out of your 240 volt cord, which was a big step forward for Nordhavn when these boats were built. Subsequently, all of the 47s had it, and any boats with one inverter have those balancing transformers now. It's good for the generator, it keeps everything balanced, maximizes your ability to draw amps from the equipment. Anyway, just a small piece of information people may not know. Another factor when people walk into this boat is the galley. The galley is really appealing, the granite, the two level, the big refrigerator. trash. I mean, it works, right?
It
you
works.
You've spent a lot of time in this galley.
I
I'm sure
have
probably more than Braden. I'm
Yeah,
guessing.
yes. I've spent a lot of time, and I like to cook, and I cook a lot, and it works. I mean, we have a small house in California, and I want to say there's probably as much surface area to cook in as that house in California. This is adorable. Jay's holding our baby girl.
I gotta take a picture.
I know, it's job description time. But some
This
things.
is the benefits. I worked in pediatrics for years. when I was in the Navy.
Did you really?
Did you really?
Yeah.
Yeah,
You know how to hold a baby.
I do.
It's actually, she likes you. Anyway, some things I love about the galley as James takes cute pictures of my baby. The fridge is big.
Full size.
Like it's a big Sub-Zero, right? Yeah. It's a big Sub-Zero. I don't know. We have gone on 3-month trips at a time, load at Costco. I mean, we can stuff so much in here.
Well, you've also got the freezer downstairs, right?
Yeah, we have
so
a
you got a big chest freezer.
Yeah, big chest freezer. These are all just refrigerated drawers, so a lot of space to store food.
So your longest trips on the boat away from civilization probably have been in the Bahamas, I'm guessing.
Yeah, a couple months at a time.
Couple of months.
Yeah.
Without having to really visit grocery stores and stock
Yep.
up. I mean, just
Yeah, and knowing all the tricks on how to preserve food and stuff like that. But if you do it right, you can stuff this baby full. And we have a lot of kids that eat a lot.
And you've got storage under the cushions in the back there.
Yes, and we've stored
So canned
tons
goods.
of canned goods, drinks. You know, at the previous owners, it was all it's pretty much a liquor store under there. But
People don't realize
Yeah.
how much stuff they have
Oh my
squirreled
goodness.
away on these boats until all of a sudden they're thinking about
Moving it off.
moving off.
Holy
and then all of
cow.
a sudden it's like, whoa, we got a lot of stuff.
someone told us it's like the Mary Poppins bag because there is so much storage on this boat just alone. We used to keep cereal and dry goods up here. Anyway, this drawer is really cool. It's a spice drawer.
I was noticing, actually, we didn't talk about it, but yeah, that was an
Yeah.
optional extra. And then you've got your VHF here, so when you're anchored in
Yep.
the Bahamas or wherever, you can keep in touch with your
listen-
neighbors. And
Yeah, or we
boat
listen
friends.
to what
The
is
net.
it? In Georgetown, like
There's
the net.
another one.
Yeah,
there's
that's the net.
there's another one in the bedroom too.
A VHF in the.
Which
Yeah,
which
so
is
we
nice.
turn them
Yeah.
all on in the mornings and listen to our news and stuff. This is used for knives or no, what did I put in there? I don't remember.
I have not seen that before in any other 55s.
Really, it was a dishwasher.
There's a water hook up behind it.
So
I was going to say,
so
it doesn't look factory.
So you can hook up a dishwasher again if you want it
Right.
because
Yeah,
it's
it's
plumbed
plumbed.
The
for
plumbing's
it.
in there.
But I put my pots and pans in here.
I wonder if Gary did that.
Was it Gary or the previous owner?
Or maybe it was
Might have been
Douglas and
before.
Linda.
I don't know,
When
but
Douglas and Linda bought the boat, I want to mention this. They had Steve D'Antonio survey the boat, or he's not survey the boat, inspect the boat. And he
Yeah.
came up with a pretty long list of stuff, as he does. He's pretty
Yeah.
good at that.
Yeah.
And I would say that Douglas and Linda did almost everything on his list. So,
Okay.
he's
he's pretty thorough.
pretty detailed.
Yes.
Yep.
So
Gas hob.
yeah, which
Electric oven?
I love.
You
Yeah,
love the
electric oven. I love cooking over a flame.
Yeah.
That's kind of a non-negotiable for me, which I know the Nordhavn, the new ones are all gas. Or, electric.
Yeah,
Which I'm like,
I love the fact that you can come into an anchorage,
Yeah.
turn off the engines, turn off the generator, and still have cooking.
Yes, and it's more fun. I don't know if you like to cook. This is kind of cool. Let me show you this. Come around. Oh, okay, I'm showing you this. That is this little thing right
These?
here. You can put a pot lid in,
Oh, that's cool.
so it keeps it secure in big waves and seas.
here too.
Yeah, so I think it was Bernie that came up with that. Is what he told me.
Possible.
Yeah.
And then you've also got a seagull filter down here, it looks like, so you've got filtered water.
Yep.
Seagulls are great.
Yep. And we just kept cleaning supplies under here and stuff. But that pot holder came in handy.
And when you're at anchor and you're cooking, do you often have this open?
I do.
Yeah.
If it's
So you've
really
got-
windy, I don't.
Probably not, but,
but I do because it's just nice.
Fresh air.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Vegetable peels. Oh, I shouldn't say that.
Yeah. No, you should. And then the fish come and the blue water.
Yes.
Yeah, it's
Oh,
awesome.
how cool.
But yeah, this is the galley and it's awesome. We
Great
love it.
memories. Solid hose pipes. Love these cleats.
I feel like everything on this boat was overbuilt.
Yeah, man, this is shiny and clean.
Doesn't it look good?
Yeah. The doors are good, the window frames are good. So we talked about the forward shore power hookup, which is here, which is cool to have and handy. Somebody put in these fender holders. That's a nice option. And then this is big. You don't see too many of them that have this big upper railing here.
Yes, I love it. I cannot imagine it being lower, to be honest.
I love the fact that these are solid and large round too.
Yeah.
I mean, that's an oversized tube, it seems, right?
Again, everything is overbuilt.
Beefy.
Yep. Beefy.
You've got that nice chain stopper there. That was an option too that was put on there, probably factory option.
300-pound anchor there, and we never went with the Rockna. I know that a lot of the Nordhavns have Rocknas,
Yeah.
and the reason was because that thing was
Never had a
so
problem.
heavy that it just always sticks.
Yeah, what it doesn't have in its grabbing power as a CQR style anchor, it makes up for in its weight.
Yes, exactly.
You probably go 400 feet of chain down there.
Yes.
400 feet of chain, and there's an extra anchor down there. Fortress anchor.
in there?
Yeah,
Down
then there's
the
another fortress anchor up in the brow up top as well.
Looking up from underneath on this tender, it looks nice and clean from the bow on the underside. There's a big
Go
tender.
close to him, go
What
close.
size is this thing?
16 feet.
I think it's 15.
It's a monster.
It's 15, but 16.
This is about the biggest you're ever going to get on this boat.
I was going to say, you certainly couldn't go any bigger.
Yeah.
With a 70, this thing's got to fly.
It's so fun.
I've gotten it up to 40,
Yeah,
so that's pretty good.
that's a nice tender. What a great fly bridge. Shiny, clean, comfortable. Grab a seat.
Thank you.
This is really nice. Did you do these cushions? Because they look super clean and nice.
They've just been really well covered, and we just use it and cover it again. So they stayed well.
Factory hardtop, fly bridge, everything's here, including your steering. Everybody wants a fly bridge when they're buying boats in South Florida. Why? Because they're going to the Bahamas. I mean, that's obviously the goal. You buy a boat down here, everyone wants to go to the Bahamas. Now, the reality is, how much time do you spend up here, Braden?
We've gone through seasons, but it's, you know what the thing is it's really nice when it's nice. And those times it's a great space to be, but a lot of times it's windy and you don't want to haul everything up here. But it's a great space to have.
Underway, you probably don't use it, right?
If you want to
Unless
get
you're
away, you come up here underway, or if you want to take a private phone call or something like that, you'll come up here. Yeah.
It is nice to have it. I don't disagree. And if you're coming into the islands at the end of the day and you want to look down on the reef, it's really nice to have a fly bridge. And then you've got these steps either side here. I'm not going to go up there with my socks on, but
Yeah.
you can get up on top, and you have your solar panels up on top.
Yeah, you can take the steps right up there, and you know where that's good for? Is diving off. That's what that's
really?
good for. Yeah, just make sure your feet are dry so you don't slip. But
I'm
that's
just going to take my socks off real quick and put my eye up there.
So many times.
That's a high dive. That's a little over 30 feet high dive.
Yeah. Oh, right from the top.
Yeah.
Okay, I see. Yeah. Yeah, good real estate. Actually, you've got space up there for even more solar panels if somebody wanted to put extra panels up there. Yeah. And what's this? Propane.
That's a propane. There was a barbecue on the back here that you can. There's brackets. Anyone could put that up there. But
Actually, sitting here, you can see out over the windshield. You can see the horizon, no problem. Good view from up here for whale watching or dolphin spotting, or just reading a book. Having this extra hatch here in the Portuguese bridge gives you the ability to get fresh air down into the master's stateroom when you're at anchor as well. You get some through from those side ports, right, when you're swinging at anchor, but not always. And so some of that air will come down through here, and it probably helps for the through flow of air.
it does.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, it's just I really think that the twin engine 55, they didn't build enough of them, it seems, and every time one pops on the market, they tend to get snapped up. We had one recently, and I don't know, did it hit the market? I think we maybe did put it on, but it wasn't on for more than a week or two, right?
It went very quickly.
If somebody has an opportunity to pick up a twin, they go. So, upon reflection, I think this could make it onto my list of favorites. Maybe.
Nice.
Oh boy.
Oh.
First question I got asked last night, I bumped into somebody in the bar who had seen me on YouTube.
Yeah.
So what is your favorite?
Yeah, exactly. It's the big, everyone wants to know. They want to know.
Well, I think, you know, how long have you had this boat?
I think 7.5 years.
7.5 years.
Yeah.
I remember the first time I saw you coming into Old Port Cove into that corner berth there.
Yeah.
That real tight corner berth.
How long did that take me?
Is that long ago?
Yeah,
Was that
so
7 years ago?
Rue and Penn were
Not very long.
3 and 5. So Penn's 10.5, Rue's almost 13. Yeah.
That's a lot of water under the keel.
Sorry
Got a
about.
lot of miles on this boat.
Now we got 2 more babies. Yeah, different dogs. I mean, it's interesting.
Come on, Jay.
I know.
Can't you
Babysitter
do something?
Jay over here. This is real life.
You got a lot going on.
Yeah, we've mentioned this to a lot of people that we're looking for kind of the next boat. We've had this boat for a long time and looking to pass it on to a new owner.
So all of a sudden, there's an
Yeah.
opportunity
Yeah,
for somebody to snag a twin.
there is. And this has been the long-awaited question, like, is the boat officially available? The answer is yes, it is. I haven't really even said that to anyone until right now.
I think you have a hard time saying that.
I
don't
do.
You?
It's super emotional
You're
for
attached.
me. I am. And a boat is different than a house. It keeps you safe. It has this personality. They're all kind of different. And so it's really hard to let it go. But we're
you-
excited.
Well, I gotta
Yeah.
tell you, you know, there is this saying that the happiest day in one's life is the day they buy the boat and the day they sell the boat. But I feel that with Nordhavn owners, that's not necessarily true. The majority
Yeah.
of Nordhavn owners, when it comes time to sell the boat, it's a very difficult day.
It's not fun at all.
It's freedom. The boat is freedom. It's a vacation home in every destination. It's so many different.
It's $1 million view in every city, place you would ever want to go.
Different $1 million view every
Yeah.
day if you want it.
Yeah. To answer the question, yes, it's available, and you guys can contact, if you want all the details, more details, you can contact James Knight or Jay. Maybe you want to say who to contact?
Yeah,
I
contact
don't
the
know.
office. I mean, we all
Yeah.
work together at Yacht Tech. So
Yeah.
Mark, Jay, myself, we've got Rebecca in the office and Shell there up in the Pacific Northwest. Jason's up there. Yeah. But yeah, you can call the office. You can call any one of us. Presently, the boat's sitting in Palm Beach.
Yep.
Because obviously you need to know where it is.
Yeah, Palm
Yeah.
Beach. And I'll put all the contact information in the description below.
She's looking good, standing tall,
Yeah.
shiny, and ready for a new caretaker.
Without further ado, I guess this concludes the 55 tour. We've almost convinced James that
Thanks
this is a good boat.
Thanks for inviting me along.
Yeah, thanks
It's
for
been long
coming.
awaited. I know that people have been waiting for me to walk through a 55, so I'm glad that we could get it done.
All right.
And I'm headed to the airport now.
Yeah, he's got a flight to catch.
always
That's
going
very
somewhere.
James fashion.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
Good to see you guys.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
you too.